All right, so welcome. And today our theme also, of course, is from the Yoga Sutras as we're pulling our themes for the entire session. So much amazing wisdom, and I've been doing a little dive back into the sutras. Of course, I've studied and taught the sutras for years, but every time I go back, I find something new, some new little nugget to resonate with and to contemplate. And today we're going back to a concept, and I think most of you have done teacher training with me, so this is all going to be very familiar to you, but the idea of the kleshas. So the kleshas are those things that disturb our mind and keep us in suffering. And there are 5 of them. We're going to focus on 2 today that are related, and they come up in all philosophies, all spiritual philosophies. Buddhism really has a strong connection to these teachings, and that's the idea of clinging and aversion. Right? And I find myself from time to time in this state of wanting things to be other than they are. Right? Clinging to the idea of how things were and how easy it was when I could just go to the studio and teach a class and not have to deal with all this online stuff. And sometimes I get kind of mad about that. And then I realize, right, there's nothing I can do about it. And all of the frustration and anger actually is just suffering. It's suffering with absolutely no outlet, right? So there's lots of things that we can do something about, lots of things we don't like that we can change, right? And mostly that's ourselves. But there's so much in life that we cannot change. And being attached to another outcome is what creates suffering. So it's not so much that we don't have what we want that creates the suffering. It's the tension that comes from wanting. And that said, I really encourage you to keep wanting. There's nothing wrong with wanting and desiring. You know, I wished I could see my mom yesterday so much. And that wanting is okay, but it's the tension and the, why does it have to be this way, which creates a lot of suffering for us. So understanding, no, I can't see my mom, and that is the way it is. I organized, my sister lives really close, so she was able to go over and have a distant visit with my mom and FaceTime with me. So I got to see my mom a little bit on the internet, which is not the same, of course, but my mom's not an internet person, so we don't video chat regularly. So it was kind of special that we got to do that. But the point is there's lots of things right now that we want or we don't want. And that is the way it is. And when we can find some peace with that, we reduce our suffering. It's a tall order, it's challenging, it's not easy. And then discerning between what can I change and what can't I change is also practice in its own. We're going to work with twists today as our focus, and the idea with twists is that they're cleansing, may not be literally cleansing, but the idea that we're kind of wringing out this tension in our bodies, wringing out the tension in our minds, and coming to a place of a little more ease and acceptance. So that's our goal today. We're going to start seated. So if you have a chair or a cushion that you want to sit on, get yourself comfortable, and I will see you on the mat. And it looks like I rearranged my screen a bit, so we'll just fix that. So find a comfortable seat. You don't have to be on the floor, but if you are, sometimes lifting your hips onto a cushion is helpful. And we'll take a moment to check in. So if you like, you're welcome to close your eyes. And take a moment to notice whatever's present for you in your body. And whether that's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, see if you can simply notice without the desire to change. Right? And some things about our bodies we can change, Some things we can't change. But for today, let's work with radical acceptance of what is. If there's pain in your body, see if you can simply notice the pain, be curious about it. Many of us have the relationship with pain that we just want to push it away and make it stop. That tension can often create more pain, and the focus can keep us in that state of really noticing our pain and being with it. So I encourage you today to notice what is. See if you can find a way to be curious rather than pushing away or trying to change things. Take another minute or so to simply notice this state of your body today, how you feel, and be curious, open, and as accepting to what is as possible. And then start to tune into your breathing. Feel the inhale, feel the exhale. As I mentioned earlier, it's not wrong or bad to want things, right? Having desire is part of being human, but it's being attached to that desire or attached to the outcome of that desire that creates suffering. So I invite you to, as you inhale, let whatever you desire rise to the surface. And as you exhale, let it go. As you inhale, just let it rise to the surface. What do you want? Exhale, let it go. Whether or not you can have that, right? You might want things that are quite possible to have. Just feel the wanting for a moment. Feel the desire. And with your exhale, let it go. So we can see these wants or desires as just things that arise and can fall away. And then letting that go, just letting the breath come to normal. And we'll start with a little bit of movement seated to start to warm up the spine, and then we'll move from there. So we'll start with a cat-cow kind of movement seated here. So you can do this on a chair or on the floor, and it's arching with a breath in, rounding with an exhale. If having your legs crossed, sitting is comfortable, great. If not, you can always put your feet flat on the floor. Have your hands on your knees, arching and rounding. And add some circles, so a little circling movement for your torso. Notice what you are aware of, what you feel. Circling each direction a few times. Right, and then let's come back to the center. Nice long spine. We'll take a breath in and lift the arms up. And as you bring the arms down, you can let the body come forward, bringing the hands to the legs or the ground. If you're on the floor, let your body come forward gently, just until you feel a Nice, easy, gentle stretch, and then lifting up again. So you're inhaling to lift, exhaling to come forward. And the last one. You can just come back to upright, so letting the arms come down to your lap or to your thighs. So we'll work a little bit with the neck. So the neck is the upper part of the spine. It's the most flexible part of the spine, and as such, it's more prone to injury than some of the other parts of the spine. So very gently and really honoring what's going on with your neck, you're going to turn the head to the side. And you'll go until you feel some restriction. You're not forcing beyond that restriction. But then with your eyes, turn your gaze to behind you a little further. So you're looking as far as you can behind you with your eyes. Shoulders stay relaxed. Feel the muscles of your eyes and neck getting gentle stretch. And then we'll go to the other side. So turning, looking over your shoulder, letting your eyes continue the movement behind you. Relax your shoulders, your jaw, and come back to the center. We're going to take the eyes and look up. So keep the head pointing straight forward. The eyes a little stretched by looking up towards the ceiling. And then again, keeping your head in a neutral position, look down as far toward the floor as you can with your eyes as well. Right, and then you can let the eyes come back to neutral or to center. And again, we'll turn the head to one side, and this time making a little half circle. Sweep your chin down across your chest to come up to the other side, and then sweep back. Try to do always all your movements with lots of awareness, lots of attention. Really notice, where does that movement feel smooth and easy? When do I feel it in my neck? When do I feel it in my shoulder, perhaps? Just really tracing the movement in your mind as a way of staying really in touch with the moment, in tune with the moment. If you like, you can make a full circle, always being cautious not to let your head fall back, but bringing it across your shoulders. Same thing, tuning into what you notice, letting go of the way you think things maybe should be, really honoring what is today. If you're circling, go the other way a few times as well if you haven't switched directions. Right, and then eventually come back to the center. Well, let's take the hands now and bring them onto the shoulders. You can keep the elbows slightly lifted, but not if it brings your shoulders up. It's just a nice relaxed position. The fingers can be forward or really whatever's comfortable for you. We're going to move that twist down into the upper back now. So hips stay anchored. You're using your abdominal core muscles to help twist. And feel that your rib cage is twisting relative to your hips. It's not like you're trying to go as far as you can. We've got no ability to leverage the twist here because the hands are out of the equation. I'm just feeling where it naturally wants to go for you. Don't worry about your breath, but do keep breathing. You can go to one side and stay for a few breaths. Think about using your stomach muscles to draw you tall, reaching out from the elbows and up through the crown of the head. It should feel like a little bit of effort, but not like you're forcing or straining. And then to the center, we'll go to the other side. Shoulders down, elbows reaching away, crown of the head lifting, and breathing. Great, and then we'll come back to the center. You'll lift the arms straight up, and breathing in, and then as you exhale, lower the arms, and we'll come back to the cat-cow, inhaling, arching, exhaling, rounding. If your legs are falling asleep, feel free to stretch them out and wake them up. We'll do a couple more seated exercises before we change position, so make sure you're comfortable. And after your next exhale, you'll come back to a neutral spine. And we'll keep working with the spine to keep warming it up, this time with a bit of a side bend. So you can bring your fingertips to the ground, or if you're on a chair, just hold the side of the chair. Reach the other arm up, breathing in. We're going to anchor the sit bone on the same side as we reach up. So take a few breaths here and really feel anchored down through the hip as you reach up through the arm. And we're not going very far to the side, more like lifting and a little over as you exhale, and then back to center. As you go to the side, you might move the arm a little further on the floor, bend your elbow so you're not jamming your shoulder up, and back to center. So again, it's more up than over. You know, I know some of you could probably get your lower elbow to the ground and really come into a deep side bend, but just really trying to find that subtlety of movement here. Right? This time maybe hold for a few breaths, anchor down with that sit bone, reach up with the arm, find length in the shortened side of your torso as well, so the side that you're going towards. And then with both sides long, if it feels appropriate to add just a little bit more side bend, you could do that. Keep checking that you're anchoring down through the opposite sit bone. And then when you're ready, come back up to center, release the arm. And let's do a few cat-cow movements to equalize before we do the other side. So inhale, arching. You might feel, as I do, a little lopsided, a little strange in the cat-cow movement. So notice that, if that's present for you. And if not, notice that too. It's not like there's a right or a wrong way to experience your body. Great, and then coming back to the center, find that length in your spine again and bring the other hand to the ground. We'll lift the arm up, breathing in, and then exhale to relax the shoulder a little bit. And then really find length in the torso while you reach down with that sit bone. So when we go to the side, we want to keep the sit bone anchored. We won't be lifting up as we go. So with an exhale, a little bit of movement to the side, and then inhale to the center. Exhale to the side, inhale center. Remember, it's more about lifting than going as far as you can. Right, and then if you like, you can stay. So really lengthening and pressing down into that opposite sit bone, opposite to the way you're going. Find length on both sides of the torso. Remember to bend the elbow of the hand that's on the ground so you're not jamming up your shoulder. One or two more breaths here. And we'll lift all the way up. Release the arm down. And again, a couple of rounds of cat-cow to come back to equilibrium. Right, let's come back to a neutral spine. And if you're sitting on a cushion or a blanket or a chair, you might want to move that and come to the ground and bring your feet out in front of you. Again, if your legs have fallen asleep, you might stretch them out first and shake them out to wake them up. And then you can bring the feet flat with the feet wider than your shoulders, knees a little wider than your shoulders, and spine nice and long. So we'll start with a little side-to-side movement as your knees go down, the opposite hip lifts, going one way and then the other. And if you find that there's tension in your back shoulder, you can let the arm release and come a little forward as you go side to side. So I find if I keep my arm back on the ground anchored that it's actually a little strain for my shoulders. So I'm just lifting the arm so that I can allow my knees to easily move, my hips to easily move without wrenching at the shoulders. Now, if it feels comfortable for you to keep your arms in one position and bring the legs down, that's fine. So we're going to start to add a little more twist now. So as your knees come to one side, you're going to release the opposite arm. You're going to lift the spine and you'll bring that arm around behind you to the floor and keep turning your head away to the side. So in the same direction that you're twisting. And then we'll come back through the center. Go the other way. You can bring that back arm around. Use it to anchor yourself and lift from the ground. And you're looking over your opposite shoulder or the same shoulder towards which you're twisting. So go side to side, maybe one more time, one or two more times each side. It's a nice gentle twist. Right, last one, so you can end the opposite side that you started from if you remember. Otherwise, not to worry, it will all even out by the end of the class, I'm sure. So you can stretch your legs straight out, give a little shake. And then if you want to use a little bit of a blanket to lift the hips here, to sit in Dandasana, I find it's a bit easier. You're welcome to if you are comfortable on the floor. That's fine too. If you're using a cushion or a blanket, you want to be right at the edge of it. So your sit bones kind of tip off and your pelvis comes more level. So the problem with sitting on the ground is often if the hamstrings are tight, the pelvis tends to roll back. So if you can get your pelvis upright and level without something under your hips, great. And then fists or fingertips or hands on the ground beside you, lifting the spine tall, coming into Dandasana, the stick pose or the staff pose. From there, you can let the arms reach up overhead. And then we're going to release forward just a little bit, keeping the spine long, bringing the hands down, and then lifting up, breathing in. Find a little arch in your back. Keep that arch as much as you can as you come forward. So if you have to round your back, don't go quite as far forward. Right, and then leaving the hands on the thighs. So you notice my hands are only about at my knees. I'm not trying to touch my toes here. And then inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, keep that length, slide forward if you can, another inch or millimeter. If you need to bend your knees, by all means do. We'll take a couple more breaths. So it's not about bringing the head to the knees or touching the toes, but really lengthening with each inhale and maybe releasing forward a bit as you exhale. One more breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release your arms down. And you can cross your legs or swing your legs around. We're going to come to all fours. So you can just roll forward onto your knees, uncross your legs behind you. I'm going to turn so that I'm on the length of my mat. And if you want a blanket under your knees, by all means, do that. So coming to all fours, inhale and arch, drawing the shoulders back, soft elbows. You're looking forward but more down, so the back of your neck is long, and then rounding and moving back to child's pose. You can also just round and move into the cat pose if you prefer. So do a few rounds like that. And feel free to stay in child's pose for a few breaths, or if you're feeling a little more energized today and you're ready to come up into downward dog, you can spend a few breaths there. Maybe walking your feet in place if you're in downward dog. If you're in child's pose, you're focusing on the breath. Listening to your own body and seeing what would feel best for you. Eventually coming back to all fours and finding that arching and rounding movement, cat-cow or all fours to child's pose again. And then eventually coming back up to all fours. We're going to tuck the toes under and lift up into downward dog. And again, if this is your first time in downward dog, you might walk in place. If it's your second time in downward dog, you might work on really lengthening through the torso. And then maybe walking again. Try to let your head release and relax here. Right, and then let's come down to all fours. We'll come into child's pose. If you want, you can take your knees wider apart if that's more comfortable to leave space for your breath, or knees together. Your head can rest on your hands or on the mat. And pause here to breathe. Noticing how your body feels. And again, coming to a place of accepting what is. So again, especially if there's pain or discomfort, of course, if you're in pain and you can change your position and come out of pain, that's wonderful, great. So this lesson is not about enduring or putting up with things that you can change. But when we can't change something, when there's an aspect of our lives that we would like to change but we can't, that's where we really need to practice that radical acceptance. So when you're ready, coming back up to all fours. And here we're going to vary the movement. So depending on where you're tight, it might be a little side to side movement. It might be more of a circular movement, engaging a little more of the body. You know, maybe for you, you're feeling stiff in the back. You might want to take the hands a little forward and come into a little bit of a back bend and then shift back, maybe circle. So just take some time to explore. What would feel good in your body? Where do you feel tight, and what movement helps you to release that tightness? You have the option of coming into puppy pose here, where you'd lower the elbows, keeping the hips over the knees, and then bringing the forehead to the ground. So you might take the elbows a little wider to the side if that's comfortable for your shoulders, or if you want a little more stretch, reaching the arms straight overhead. And then the same kind of action as we would see in downward dog, as we want to think about drawing the outer edges of the arms down. So there's this rotation of down and pulling back towards the hips. And take a few more breaths wherever you're at, if you're in puppy or doing some movement or child's pose. And then we'll eventually come back to all fours and move into the twist, the thread the needle twist. So in this pose, we'll do it dynamically a few times first, and then you have the option to stay. If staying in the pose isn't comfortable for you, for your neck or for your back, child's pose is a nice option. So you can take one hand, you're going to lift it to the side, turning your body in that direction, and then slide the hand through between the knee and the other hand, coming down onto the shoulder and the side of the head. And then you'll repeat. So you lift up to the side and then swing through into that twist. Good, either one more dynamically and then stay, or if it feels right for you, continuing dynamically. So when you're staying, you can decide how much twist you want. So one hand is on the floor. If that elbow is pointing at the ceiling and you're putting a little pressure into the floor with that hand, you're gonna get a little more twist. If you want a bit less twist, take that upper elbow and let it come down to rest on the ground or on your other arm, and you'll have less twist in your spine. You can also move between those two, elbow up, a little more twist, elbow down, a little less twist. Right. And then eventually pressing into the palm to come back upright. Before we do the other side, a couple of rounds of cat-cow or all fours to child's pose. Again, you can notice perhaps any difference between the two sides as you try this. Right, and then when you're ready, we'll come back to all fours and we'll work with the twist on the other side. So you'll raise the arm and turn the torso towards that side. Breathing in, and then exhale, reach down and through to the other side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, coming through. Couple more. And again, this time, when you get into that position, if you like, you can stay for a few breaths. And you can play with moderating how much twist you have by whether the palm on the floor, that arm, the elbow is up, or the elbow is down toward the ground. And again, you can play with lifting and lowering the elbow to add and take away a bit of twist. Right, eventually, you'll come back to all fours. So pressing into the palm, coming up to all fours. And again, all fours to child's pose, all fours to downward dog, or even all fours to upward dog, if you like. Take a minute or so. It's whatever would feel good to your body. Remember, if you're coming into upward dog, making sure to bend your elbows and think about shoulders moving down and back rather than locking the elbows and have the shoulders jammed up to the ears, which is quite common and definitely easier. Right. Eventually make your way into downward dog. From downward dog, we're going to step forward, bringing the left foot between the hands. And then take your right foot, turn it out to the side, and lift up in Warrior One. Find your grounding in Warrior One. So your front knee is bent over your front ankle. Your back leg is firm and strong. The back heel is pressing down. The toes are turned enough so that your whole foot is really grounded there. Right? And then from here, we're going to lower the arms in front. And first we're going to move towards the right side. So you're going to take your right arm, you're going to lower it down, and as you go, you're going to open it so both palms face forward, coming into a kind of version of Warrior Two. Swing that arm down, the arm's going to rotate so the hands face each other in front. The next one, we're going to go the other way. So your left hand is facing to the right at the moment. If your hands are facing each other, we're going to keep that left hand facing the same direction. So we're not going to rotate the shoulder as we go back. So take that arm back. When the arm comes behind you, you're going to turn. And you're going to keep the hand facing towards the right. Reaching out into that twist. And then come back, bringing the arm forward. So as we go to the right side, as we take the right arm down, we're rotating externally so that both palms face forward. Right? As we come back, we're rotating so both hands face each other. The hips are going to turn. Here, the hips stay forward. We're going to take the left arm straight down. The hand faces the same way, so there's internal rotation in the shoulder. You're going to turn your shoulders toward the left and reach out as if someone's reaching and holding your hands and pulling them in opposite directions. Good. Rotate back to the front. And we'll do one more. So we're going to turn to the side, opening. You want to make sure that your left knee stays over your left ankle, as always when we come into that warrior two type position. And then bringing the arm down, it's going to rotate. Hips come back to point to the front. As you drop the back arm, or the left arm, it's going to come back behind you, squeezing your upper thighs towards each other. Reach out, 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 out. Use your core strength to create this twist. There's no leverage here. Good. Let's bring the arms around to the front and lift all the way up. From here, we'll go forward. So if you have blocks and you find them helpful, you can use them to bring your hands to the blocks. Let your head come down, and you can either stay here with the leg moving straighter till you feel a good stretch, or bend and straighten the leg if you're feeling quite tight today. That's a good option to gently and slowly loosen things up. Let your head release a little more if you can. Take a couple more breaths here. And then from this position, we'll make our way back to downward dog. And again, you can take a couple of breaths in downward dog. Lower down to all fours. Take a breath in. Exhale, child's pose. We'll lift back up to all fours. Exhale to downward dog. And then the right foot will come forward. This is the trickiest part of most of these moves, is getting that foot forward. So do your best. Take your back foot. You can step it a little forward if you like, turning it out to the side. And then you'll inhale, lifting in warrior one. Find the position where you feel nicely anchored here. So back leg reaching down, front knee over the ankle, and then arms come down in front. So as we turn to the side, to the left side now, the hips and shoulders are going to turn, and so is the left arm going to rotate. So we're going to bring that arm down. As you start to turn the hips and shoulders, the left shoulder rotates open, so both palms face the same direction as your face. Coming back, we'll shift the hips and shoulders forward, bring that arm around and back to face the other arm. When we take the right arm back, we're not going to rotate the shoulder. The hand will stay pointing the same way. You're going to reach back, twist, drawing the upper thighs towards each other. Good, coming back to center, so we'll do that twice more. Left arm comes down, you're externally rotating the shoulder, making sure that your right knee stays over your ankle, reaching out, coming back around. And then other side. Right, so we can do a little bit of twisting, just taking the arms back, and then when you imagine those arms being pulled in opposite directions and draw your upper thighs together, we get a little more twist. So only going as far as feels good for you. One more time, opening to the left. And then coming to the right. Again, reach, 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 squeezing the legs towards each other. Beautiful. I assume it's beautiful. I can't see you, but I know you're all beautiful. And coming back. Lifting up with the breath in. And coming forward. So again, take the time. If you need the blocks, use them. Let your head release down. It could be bending and straightening the front knee, or just finding a position that's comfortable and staying there for a few breaths. Right, and then when you feel ready, you're going to step the back foot forward. So both feet are now together towards the front of your mat. Hands to shins, lengthening with the breath in. And exhaling to release. Let your knees soften, let your head release. Feel the weight of your head. You can cross your arms if you like, or support yourself on your thighs if that is a better option for you. When you're ready to come upright, taking the arms to the sides, lengthen and lift from the heart, coming all the way up. Reaching the arms overhead, and then releasing down to the sides. So coming to Tadasana. And finding your grounding through your feet. So we've done lots of lengthening and twisting and side bending for the torso. So now feeling yourself evenly here as much as possible, the feet making roots through the heels into the earth. Lifting up through the chest, shoulders drop down, arms release down. And we'll take the arms to the sides, inhale and lifting the arms, find a little lift in the heart. Bend your knees and sweep forward into a forward bend, releasing the head. Again, lengthening as you lift. So find length in the spine, lifting with the heart, and then keeping the heart lifted as you go forward. Only rounding when you absolutely have to at the end there. And then coming up, find that length. Use your legs to lift. Exhale, nice long spine coming forward. And this time as you come upright, let's stay upright, releasing the arms down to your sides. We'll move into a sun salutation. So again, feel the anchoring of your heels, the lifting of your thighs, the heart. So there's this feeling of a little lift in the front of the body, and then feel that kind of energy moving down the back of your body into the heels, into the earth. And then from there, reach down with the arms, turn the palms forward and lift up with a breath in. Bend your knees, long spine, fold forward. Let the head release fully at the end of your exhalation. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthening, crown of the head reaching away. Exhale, fold forward. Let's take the right foot back and come into lunge. And we'll take a couple of breaths in lunge. So think about dropping down through the hips, reaching from the back heel to the crown of your head, and then drawing in at the center. So that means the whole back leg is pulling a little forward into the hip, and the whole front leg is pulling a little bit back into the hip. And you'll feel those muscles of the inner thighs, all around the pelvis, hips engage. From there, let's step back to plank. As you come into plank, finding a nice flat line from your heels to your shoulders, press into your arms and feel wide across your shoulder blades so you're not kind of dumping into your shoulders. Lower your knees, bend your elbows and roll down so your thighs come down first, then your belly, then your chest, and then your forehead. You can slide the arms forward so your elbows are on the ground, hands beside your face. You're pressing down with your hips, down with your thighs, squeezing the lower body strongly, and then lift with a nice light upper body, breathing in as you lift, and stay for a breath or two. Lower down and slide your hands back. Lift up to all fours. And walk your hands back to come to child's pose, any version that feels good for you, and we'll take a couple of breaths here. And then let's come up to all fours. Taking the hands under the shoulders or slightly forward. Taking the toes, tucking them under and lifting up. From here, come up onto your toes, bend your knees. Exhale completely. If you need to swing the leg, you can swing it. The best way to step forward, or best time to step forward, is in that little space after the exhalation. So from here, hips low down, back heel reaching back, but drawing forward with the whole back leg. Front leg strong and drawing back, so you're engaging the inner thighs, the buttocks, the hips, all around the pelvis. Crown of the head reaching away from the back foot, and then from there we'll step forward. Soft knees, hands to shins, lengthen the spine, crown of the head reaching forward. Exhale and release. Take a couple of breaths here. Let your whole body hang like a rag doll from the hips to the head, to the arms. And then coming all the way up, breathing in, reaching up, and releasing. So we'll do that again. We'll add on a little bit this time. So again, feel your heels drop down. Feel the energy drawing up the front of your body. So the thighs pull up. There's a lift in the heart, a lift in the crown of the head, and then this feeling of energetically dropping down into the heels through the back of the body. So there's almost this feeling of energy circuit or cycle lifting up the front, coming down the back of the body. You can imagine that with your breath, the inhale drawing energy up the front of the body, the exhale moving it down the back into the heels, into the earth. See if you can find that circuit of energy in your own body, in your own way for breath here. Next time you're about to inhale, let your arms catch the wave of the inhale and lift with the breath. Exhale, bend your knees, fold forward. Inhaling, lengthening with your hands to your shins or knees, and then exhale, fold forward. We'll take the left leg this time and step back into lunge. Same thing here, drawing the right hip a little bit back and the left hip forward and firming the legs, finding the nice low line through the body. Right? If you find lunge challenging, having the back foot a little more forward and keeping the hips higher is definitely easier. But if you want to challenge yourself, drop down, find that straight line from your back heel to the crown of your head. From wherever you are, you could then lift up into the extended version of lunge. Good. From there, you can bring the arms forward. And we'll only go the twist way. So your right arm is going to go back. You're going to keep the hand facing the same direction and reach out. Breathing here. Good. Coming back around. Good. Hands down. And we'll step back to plank. Good. Again, lots of strength through the core, the shoulders here. If you need to, knees come down. And then from there, you can lower, letting the body release to the ground, hands forward, forehead down. Pull back with your arms towards your hips as you press into the hips to anchor the lower body. And then drawing that energy up the front of the body as you lift. Stay here, exhale, feel the back body engage and contract. Inhale, Maybe find a little more lift. Exhale, be really conscious of keeping nice and firm through the back of the body. One more breath. And with your exhale, lower down. Slide the hands back. Come up to all fours. And then we'll move back to any version of child's pose that works for you. Taking a few breaths here. And then coming back up to all fours. You can walk the hands a little ahead of your shoulders if you like. And then coming up into downward dog. So again, the best time to step forward is on the little holder space after the exhale. If you want to lift the leg first to help get some momentum to swing it through, it's your left foot coming forward. And we're going to find the lunge that works for you. Again, engaging through the hips and legs. Back hip moving a little forward, forward hip moving a little back. You can bring your hands up onto your thigh or lift all the way up from the ground. Arms come forward. We're going to take the left arm now, swing it back, keeping the hand facing the right, reaching as you twist, drawing the upper thighs towards each other and reaching the arms away, and breathing. Swinging the arm back around, lifting, and then hands come down, and you'll step forward. Release your head completely. Next inhale, hands to shins, lengthening. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift with the heart. Come all the way up, reaching the arms overhead, and then exhale to release. Finding again that feeling of energy drawing up the front of the body, so you feel the thighs lift when you put your weight into your heels, feel the heart lift, and then feel the shower of energy down the back of the body into the heels. So take another couple of breaths to feel and find that energetic release. And we'll do one more sun salutation. Reaching up with the breath in. Soften your knees, long spine as you come forward, releasing the head. Inhale, hands to shins, lengthening. And then exhale to fold forward. Stepping back with the right foot. Find your strong lunge. So we're drawing the hips in towards each other, dropping down through the hips. Strong legs. You can bring your hands up to the thigh, to the left leg. Great. And then keeping the left hand on your knee, right arm reaching up. Good. And then exhale, keep that length. You can change hands, so your right hand is now on your knee, left hand comes behind your back. And with that, just a little bit of support, turning towards the left. So you can look back toward the left, lengthening your spine. Great. Come back around to the center, lift all the way up. Good. Exhale, bring your hands down to the ground, lower your back knee down. You can bring the back foot flat if you like. Shift your weight, without moving your front foot, shift your weight onto your back knee. So it should be that your front foot is slightly ahead of your front knee. So here, left hand on the knee, right arm lifting. We'll do one more twist here. Right, so for those of you who are feeling a little twisted out, you're just going to stay upright and bring the hands to the outer thigh. For those of you who are wanting a bit more, you can reach across with your elbow to the outside of your left thigh. And then wherever you are, you can sink down a little more into the lunge. If you want more challenge here, you can bring your two palms together if you've got the elbow on the outside of the thigh. Elbows reaching away from each other, palms together. And then finally, if you still want to work harder, lift your back knee, draw the hips towards each other, and stay here for a couple of breaths. If you've lifted the knee, you may want to lower it to come out of the pose. You can bring the hands back to the thigh, lift upright, and release the arms. From here, reach up. Exhale, bring the hands down, tuck the back toes under, and step back to your plank pose. From plank, you can keep the knees up if you like and lower like a push-up, or you can lower the knees and roll down as I'm doing. From there, hands forward again. Pressing into the hips and thighs, gently drawing back with the arms toward the hips to lengthen and traction the spine. And then think about all the way from the tops of the feet, that energy lifting up the front of the body, lifting up with a breath in. Exhale, feel the energy and breath move down towards your heels, and then lift up, front of the body. Exhale, down the back of the body. Slowly release. Slide your hands back. Lift to all fours. And again, find your way to child's pose for a few breaths, any version. And then eventually back up to all fours. Again, you can take the hands a little ahead of the shoulders. And then with an exhale, coming into downward dog. The right foot will step forward. We'll start by bringing the hands up onto the front knee. Good. You can keep your left hand on your right knee. Reach the other arm back. You can bring it to the lower back if you like, or stretch it out behind you. Great. And then coming back to the center, you can lower down with the back knee. If you need to bring your hands to the ground to do that, please do. Shift your weight back. Again, your front foot will be slightly ahead of your knee. Right hand on the thigh. Left arm reaching up. Right, so again, it could be just the hand to the thigh and staying here, upright. Or you could take the elbow across, and you might then take the palms together. I'm trying to make a straight line with my lower arms here, and then hip shift forward. You can tuck your back toes and maybe lift. It's a little challenging. Think about hips really engaging. You're staying nicely connected and breathing. You can lower the back knee if you've brought it up. Bring your hands to your thigh to come back around. Shift the weight back and lift. Breathing in. Exhale, bring your hands down. You can tuck your back toes, lift up and step forward. And then hands to shins as you lengthen. Release. Come forward as you exhale. Inhale, lift the heart, come all the way up. And exhale, release. Great, coming back to Tadasana, a mountain pose. And again, feeling that lifting from the earth up the front of the body, so the thighs, the heart lift, coming up, the crown of the head lifts, and there's this cascade or shower of energy down the back body into the heels. Inhale, feel that lift in the front. Exhale, cascading down the back of your body. Couple more breaths. And then you might turn sideways on your mat if you're not already, so that you've got space to step your feet wide. That is, even if you're using a mat, you may not be. You want to have room to take your feet wide. From here, we'll lift up. The arms can come behind the back as you bend your knees, palms face up toward the ceiling as you let the body come forward. And we'll repeat that. Inhale, the arms release and lift. Exhale, knees bend, arms go back, head releases between the legs, and feel that little bit of weight with the head as you come down and then lifting up. Exhaling. At this time, you could stay in that forward bend. You can either leave the hands on the back. You might interlace the fingers and lift the arms a little if you like that position, or you could brace against your thighs or reach the ground. So lots of options. Choose the one that works best for you. When you're ready to come up, bend the knees a little more. If the arms are behind you or down, doesn't matter. You'll lift them out to the sides and come all the way up overhead. And then exhale to release. Wiggle or step your feet together. And again, come back to mountain pose. We're going to lie down in a moment. And let's just take a moment to let everything settle again here in Tadasana. I'm feeling that lifting in the front, grounding in the back. A couple more breaths. And then when you're ready to move, we're going to make our way to the ground. So you can come to lie down. And you might want to bring your knees right up into your chest as you come to the ground. And do whatever movement would feel good. So rocking, circling, maybe moving the knees forward and back. Or just hugging the knees and breathing. And then eventually let your feet come to the floor. So kind of wind down or unwind with a very gentle twisting now. So starting with the arms on the floor beside you, and we'll just move the head. So you can rotate the head one way and then the other. Now you've got the support of the earth, just letting the head glide each direction. You really notice what you feel, what you're aware of. Feel the ground shifting across the back of your head. Whatever sensations are present in your neck. And then eventually you're going to come back to the center, and we'll take the arms and reach them up toward the ceiling, arms parallel over the chest. Reach up. Feel your shoulder blades lift and open a little bit, and then let the shoulders sink back down with the arms staying up. And then bend your elbows to take your hands to opposite elbows. So you're making a little square shape over your chest. And we'll just move the arms and the head now. So as the head goes to one side, the arms go the same way. So moving the twist down the back a little bit. Now into the upper back as well as the neck moving, going side to side, your own pace. And then when you feel ready, you can start to add in the legs. So as the arms and head go one way, the legs go the opposite direction, and just nice and easy to begin with. Really checking in. I know we've already done quite a lot of twisting, and so if your body says enough twisting, you might just come back knees to chest at any time. And eventually returning back to the center. You'll stretch the arms back up towards the ceiling, reaching up with the shoulders. Big breath in and then exhale. Let the shoulders sink down. Let the arms come to the ground to either side. Take a couple of breaths here. And then you can bring both knees up toward the chest and let your hands come to rest on your knees. Gently draw in and then stretch your legs up. The arms can either reach behind you or, if it's more comfortable for your shoulders, out to your sides. And then back into the chest. Exhaling as you draw in and give a little squeeze if that's comfortable. Inhale, expanding and stretching out. As you bring the knees back to the chest this time, you're welcome to keep doing a few more of those movements if that felt good. Or another option here would be to come into happy baby pose, where you separate the knees, reach for your ankles or the outer edges of your feet with the arms coming up between your two legs, and then rocking side to side. If it's comfortable, you could also try bringing the soles of your feet together, maybe wrapping the hands around the outsides of your feet if they reach, or just reaching for the ankles if that's more accessible for you. And letting the heels drop towards the body. If your elbows reach your legs, you can gently press away with your elbows into your shins. And then release, bringing the knees back together, giving yourself a hug. And if there's any other movement that might feel good, you can take a few minutes here. You might want to stretch your arms and legs out, or any other movement that might feel good. I would recommend not doing another twist, since we've done lots of twisting already and we've just brought everything back into alignment as much as possible before Shavasana. But if there's, if you want to squeeze your knees in or stretch out, or if you want to get yourself set up for Shavasana with blankets or pillows or whatever might be helpful for you, you can go ahead and get ready and get comfortable. You're always welcome to do Shavasana seated as well, more of a seated meditation than lying down. Though whenever I offer that in class, I never get any takers, so it's totally up to you. But during the daytime, sometimes sitting for the relaxation Shavasana meditation can help us to retain the energy that we've built in the practice rather than lying down and maybe getting a little sleepy. It's up to you. Be comfortable. So as you slowly make your way to stillness, making those little adjustments that help you to be as comfortable as possible. The arms rest on your body or on the ground. The knees can be bent or straight. Try to have your head lined up so that your spine now is in alignment, so the head isn't turned to one side or the other. And after all of that twisting, you might feel the length of your spine now. And let's bring some awareness to the back body. So we could think of the head as a kind of extension of the spine. So notice and feel the weight of your head on the ground now. And feel the muscles all around the top of your spine. So where your spine meets the head at the back of the body, there's the two little points called your occipital bones. And from there down is the neck. So feeling from the base of your skull down into your neck. What do you notice about the upper spine? What do you notice about your neck now after a little over an hour of movement and twisting? What are you aware of? So whether that's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, try to just notice without judgment, without trying to change anything, without clinging or aversion to what is. Let all the muscles around your face relax, shoulders. Then bring your awareness again to the spine, down from the neck. The upper back, for most people, curves outwards. You feel the pressure of your upper back on the ground, whether your legs are bent or straight. And notice what's present in that area between your neck and the bottom of your rib cage, the thoracic spine. What are you aware of? What do you notice? How does the spine feel? How do the muscles feel that support your spine? Can you soften all around that area, front and back of your body? And really tune in. And then let your awareness move down into the lower back, the lumbar spine, between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the hips, top of the pelvis. And again, for most people, the curve here is upward away from the ground, concave curve. So you may not feel the back, the lower back on the ground, unless your knees are bent, and then you might. And noticing, what are you aware of? What do you feel in your lower back, the spine, the muscles? Again, whether that's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, can you simply notice without clinging or aversion? And then keep moving down with your awareness into the back of the pelvis, so the spine spreads out below the waist into the sacrum, which is a collection of fused bones. And you might feel your weight resting on the sacrum. So for most people, this is a concave curve, so it meets the ground easily. And then the very bottom of the spine is the tailbone or coccyx, which has a curve to it, and it curves up away from the ground to its very tip. So notice what's present in that lower part of the spine, the sacrum and coccyx. What are you aware of? Letting go of judgment or the need for anything to be different. Noticing without judgment, without clinging or aversion. And then letting the area all around the low back and pelvis soften and relax even more. Let your arms go from the shoulders to the fingertips, heavy and relaxed arms. And then let go with your legs from the hips to the toes, releasing the thighs, knees, calves, ankles. And simply let the breath come and go. So much in life is out of our immediate control. And just like the breath, we can control it to a large extent, but then we have to just let go and let the breath be. So, as much as possible, let go, let the breath be. And you might even think of this as waves of desire and letting go, waves of wanting and releasing, drawing in, drawing out. Everything changes. Can we just ride the waves of the changes without getting stuck, without increasing our suffering? I'd like to share with you a chant that we've been using on the Wednesday evenings with the meditations. And it's a reminder of our wholeness, a reminder that we are complete, that we are whole, that we don't actually need anything else in this moment to be complete. And anything that's taken away from us can't affect that deep, abiding completeness that is our soul or our essence. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. If you'd like to spend more time in Shavasana, you can go ahead and stay where you are and ignore my instructions. And if you're ready to move on and start to deepen your breath a little bit and invite some more energy into your body. Gradually add some movement. You can wiggle fingers and toes or circle your ankles and wrists. Eventually moving and stretching in whatever way would feel good. Honoring your body. Eventually, if you're Ready to come upright, you can roll onto your side. Make your way back to seated. Bring your palms together. And I would invite you to take this theme out into your life with you. Notice when you tense up around what you want or don't want. And recognizing if there's nothing that you can do to change that situation, can you soften from inside? Maybe use your breath to soften, or a little movement or whatever. Even just reminding yourself of the theme that our suffering comes not from not having what we want, but from clinging to the want. So let your desires flow. And at the same time, letting go. Namaste.